Capitol News Director Sean Ashley joins us with more on the implications of the failure to pass the cigarette tax bill and other happenings at the Capitol this week. Sean, thanks for joining us.
You're very welcome.
Sean, what is the impact of all this?
Oh, it's very widespread and broad. First of all, it blows a hole in the budget plans of the legislature and the governor. Representative Doug Cox pointed out during a press conference on Wednesday that this leaves about a $185 million hole in what was a very shaky and simple plan to begin with. The governor also alluded to the fact that it would leave a big hole. As you may remember back during her State of the State speech, she sort of used a stoplight metaphor and pointed to, if you don't do anything, we're in red. If we do a few things, we're in yellow. And if we do more, we're in green. This certainly leaves them in red right now. As for the rest of the state, however, as Dr. Cox pointed out, as Representative Hickman pointed out, and the governor herself, without this money being available for Medicaid, unless they can find additional dollars, it will mean provider cuts. And those provider cuts will not just be at the Oklahoma Health Care Authority, which has already been talking about 25% cuts to those who provide services for them, but you'll also see cuts at the Department of Human Services, as well as the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, other agencies which also receive Medicaid funding. So this has a broad-based impact on the overall budget and on Medicaid service in Oklahoma.
Yeah, so what is the impact on the broader budget, the entire thing?
Well, the question would be now, what budget, I believe. Officials have yet to announce a formal budget agreement. What they have been providing to us are various bills that are parts of that agreement designed to raise some additional revenue so that then they can begin looking at the spending side of the equation. However, without this large amount of revenue, they essentially have not passed additional bills that really generate more revenue as well. So as a result, what you're looking at is where we begin the legislative session, more or less with a $1.3 billion shortfall going into the next fiscal year. That's upwards of nearly 19 to 20%. So you're looking at some pretty significant cuts if they had to balance the budget today. The thing is, they're not going to balance the budget today. They're not going to balance this budget by May 27th. It appears that more than likely we will have a special session dealing just with the budget, and they'll be back up at the Capitol in June.
Now, the Senate passed a controversial anti-abortion bill this week, too. Tell us about that.
Senate Bill 1552 passed on Thursday. It had already passed the House of Representatives, so now it goes to the governor for her consideration. What this does is make the act of performing an abortion by a medical professional unprofessional behavior. As a result, if they've done that in another state and try to get licensed in the state of Oklahoma, they would not be able to do so. And if they're a licensed physician in Oklahoma, they would subsequently lose their license. It also adds it as a crime, as a felony, and therefore they could face jail time as a result of that. It will ultimately be up to the governor to decide whether to sign or veto that bill.
Now, coming up, this is the biggest week of the session, the last week. What's coming up?
Craziness. There's a lot of work to be done. There are a number of bills to be completed on the substantive side of things. I believe at the same time they'll continue to work on some of those budget issues. There are approximately 15 to 20 revenue-related bills sitting out there that could be considered that would benefit them when they come back for the special session, if they do in fact do that. So they have a lot of work left to do, and a lot of it will take place very, very quickly.
Sean Ashley, Ecapitol News, thanks for joining us.
You're very welcome.